Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Stage Diving with Scotty. Today, I have a guest from the band Bleed, and it is Ryan Hughes. Welcome to my show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Scott.
Yeah, dude, no problem. Now, I see. Now, I think I need to start, like, having sort of like a backlog of where I find the bands because I know I found you on a playlist, and I can't remember what the playlist was.
That's okay.
But when I heard you, I was like, holy crap, no one's doing this. No one's doing this anymore. Because so your style reminded me, if I just be upfront, it reminded me of the old school, like, yeah, like a helmet meets hum meets handsome meets silver
Sick.
chair, kind of all like kind of squished together. So what it is I think what's cool is to hear a lot of bands now that were influenced, such as ours back in the day, such as like I said, like Handsome or Hum or Sunny Day Real Estate or Mineral or Get Up Kids, all that kind of stuff. And it's cool to hear those influences now and what they created out of that. This
Yeah,
own little their own little recipe of their own style. And to
for
me,
sure.
that's what Bleed was when I first heard it. I was like, why isn't anybody doing this style anymore? It was so refreshing to hear that kind of style. So I wanted to
Yeah.
just compliment you on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I all of those references kind of hit the nail on the head, honestly, because I mean those are some of my favorite bands. Like you said, bands like Hum, Helmet, Handsome. A lot of people don't know about Handsome.
No.
But both those two bands shared members with that band. So
Yep.
it's sick, right?
Yes.
And then you mentioned even a band like Mineral, and Mineral, I think, doesn't get the credit they deserve in heavy alternative rock, because in my mind, what makes that stuff more alternative, kind of post hardcore, uh, post grunge, even.
Hmm.
I think of the bands like Mineral, more emo bands, did more for that genre than people realize, because they brought the emotion into it, really. And I feel like without bands like that, it would just be stale. And I feel like bands like Mineral, more emo bands, Sunny Day Real Estate, like you said, that's 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 like the juiciness, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
that makes alternative rock, kind of different, and then even more different when they're influenced by bands like Sunny Day and
Yeah.
Mineral. So that's cool that you said that.
Yeah. It was interesting to hear that some people. Well, I don't know if you know this, but I actually got to interview Chris Simpson. I got to
Oh,
talk to
really?
him. Yeah, and it was. I was like, What? You want? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk."
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, hell yeah.
No,
Sick.
he was fantastic. Yeah, he was very quiet. Very
As
be
you would
to
expect.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect anything different. Yes.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to hear some stories I'd never heard before, and it was,
Yeah.
and again that one, like that episode, and I did Jonathan Ford from Unwed Sailor. Those were kind of like for me episodes. That
Yeah.
was kind of a selfish thing, but which was fine because those are bands that I grew up in where I huge influences for me. If it wasn't for Sunny Day Real Estate and Mineral, those two peak ones, and Hum, I don't know if I would have the influence of my own solo stuff today.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, especially with Hum. Um, for me, Hum kind of showed me the chord, right? So like,
Yeah.
it's like our joke. Like, we, when we write Bleed songs, and then when I was in Narrowhead, when we started Narrowhead, we kind of based everything around that chord, around that extended, drop D,
Yeah.
the power chord with the extended third finger, on the third string.
Yep.
And we would just make whole songs out of that chord. And to me, Hum showed me kind of that way, and kind of led me down the path of like, oh, we can do power chords, but we can make them more melodic
Yeah.
somehow, and bigger and heavier. And so I was ate up with bands like Hum, and Helmet did it a little bit, obviously, and then Deftones kind of took it and ran with it.
Oh, that's
You
true.
know,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So bands like that. So yeah, Hum for me, obviously a very big influence. So it's cool to hear that it's the same for you.
So yeah, what did you think? And just kind of to music fans here, what did you think of the new one for them? Did you like it?
So yeah, I actually loved it. I actually think that's my favorite Hum record.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Um,
big. That's big. That's bold.
I know it's, and it's kind of a hot take because within my friend group, the guys I play music with, it's kind of a hot take because everyone obviously appreciates uh, the old stuff, right?
Yeah.
The what made Hum them. Uh, I think I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to production and sonics and how things sound,
Yeah.
and I think Inlet, their new record, I feel like that's the record that they always wanted to sound like.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Interesting.
that record, because Talbot, records people. He has his own studio and stuff like that. So I'm sure that recording Inlet was what he always kind of wanted to do. Here we are 20 years later, or however long, and
Yeah.
he's like, I've got all this recording knowledge now. I mean, when they recorded their first few records, I mean, they were probably like someone like me who like doesn't know everything.
Yeah.
And but I mean, fast forward 20-25 years, and Talbot now has recorded all these bands, right? He's got a long list of people who he's worked with. He's probably learned so much about the recording process,
Okay.
how things sound, what to do, what not to do. And then when he approached, this new record, he was probably like, okay, we're going to go about this a little bit differently than we did, the first two or three Hum records, right?
Yeah.
And when I first heard that record, I was floored, really, just purely off of the sonics. Like I said,
Yeah.
the way things sound is to me everything. You could have great music, and to me, if it sounds like shit, I'm not gonna be into it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
listen. I'm kind of a purist that way. It's pretty annoying, but no, I definitely, the new Hum record. I'm a big fan of it. It's got
It's one
great
of
tracks.
it does, and I think it was one of those ones where I think the anticipation of it was so freaking huge. So I think it was that thing where, like anything, you listen to all the way through, and you go, "What did I just listen to?" And then you go,
Yeah,
"Okay, I'm going to start over again."
yeah,
And then
exactly.
you just kind of listen again, and you kind of start slow appreciation, that slow, like a scotch, slow sip. You kind of
Yeah,
start to taste the notes and stuff and notice things. It's kind of that same thing with that one. So for
yeah.
me, I agree, that one's really good. I mean,
But
well,
not
for
your
me,
favorite. What's your favorite?
I have to say, Downward is Heavenward is my favorite.
Yeah,
For me, it's the dynamics, it's the sound, it's the build up, it's the songs themselves. To me,
yeah,
that one just has so much to it. And I remember the first time I heard the first song, and I'm just going, "Holy cow, boy, did they go out on this one!" Because then
yeah,
it seemed like from that first song all the way to the very last song, it just seemed like a constant just production dream from what you'd prefer an astronaut was.
yeah.
It was like they were just starting to kind of get their sound, I think, a little bit more developed. And then when they hit Downward is Heavenward, then it was just like, holy cow, this is beautiful.
Yeah. Downward is Heavenward was not initially my favorite record before Inlet. Initially, it was Astronaut,
Yeah,
because it had the pod, right?
yeah, that's true.
Um,
It's
it
a good
had
song.
it had stars, and it had those token tracks that when people first start getting into Hum, they listen to stars, they listen to the pod.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So and honestly, that was me. And then the more I got into it, I found Downward, and I was like coming around to it. And I finally one day I was like, Downward is the record. Downward is Heavenward is the Hum record. Because the exact reasons, like you said,
Yeah.
the production on that record is incredible. It's like it's so tight sounding. Everything has its own realm in
Yes.
the spectrum. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And it's just great. And like you said, the songs are just better.
Yeah.
You'd prefer an astronaut. I felt like uh, after going back and listening to Downwards Heavenward and then going back to astronaut, you're like, you can tell that they're just a hair immature. Just
Yeah.
kind of the stuff that they do, the riffs and the process of the songs. But then you go to Downward, like you said, and it's awesome. So
Yeah.
That's cool. That's my close second. And honestly, you could ask me next week, and I'll tell you that Downward is Heavenward is my favorite home record. Truly, because they go hand in hand, really. Inlet just sounds huge, and maybe next year I'll be like, okay, I'm over it, and back to Downward.
No, that's great, man. I'm glad that was a huge influence on you, because that was that moment too when Stars came out. I was like, this is so like, it's that slow intro and then the big heavy intro and then it coming in like that, and it was like, this is insane.
Yeah,
Just the thickness of it, and it was such a
yeah,
poppy song too in a way, for whatever you want to call it, alternative rock pop song or emo song, and I think from them I really understood, like you said, the chords of, and they made me want to do that, to do that kind of fooling around with the drop D and whatnot and doing some funky stuff with it. And Helmet was the sort of intro to drop D for me. But
yeah,
when it came to Hum, it was like, you can do more than just open chord, drop D and stuff. You can create this beautiful sound
yeah. You
and
can
some
get a little
really
pretty
cool.
with it.
Yeah, you get real pretty
Yeah,
with it, but yet it can still have a hard edge to it.
exactly. And honestly, that's somewhat of the Bleed formula. I think we're still kind of figuring it out because we're in the middle of writing the LP, but we from the beginning, I mean, just like Helmet, like you said, we wanted it to be heavy and very aggressive, because that's what we like, you know. Helmet did an outstanding job, I think, with their first three records of really translating that you can be very aggressive but still not be not fit into this niche of metal.
Yeah, yeah,
You're so easily accessible for both sides of the fence, I think.
yeah,
And I think that's what appeals to me about Helmet, is that they do that so well.
yeah.
So yeah, like you said, you can have a hard edge to it, and then you can also make it accessible with sonics and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
it's cool.
I feel like kind of Helmet kind of got away from that, and the later albums. I'm just going.
Not
I
a
think
fan.
I thought Page Hamilton was just like, he took his jazz stuff way too
Yeah.
to the next
And
level.
yeah, I I only listen to the early stuff. I'm sorry, I hate to say
Yeah.
that and sound like a hipster, but I
No,
I don't
it's
I don't
fine.
listen to much new Helmet. I've gave it all the old college try,
I did
and
too. Yeah.
I really tried to like it. There's a couple tracks off of Size Matters that are good. That's probably the only newer record that I'll spin every once in a while, but it's always Aftertaste, and it's always Betty. So for me,
Oh,
at least,
what about Meantime? Not Meantime?
I like Meantime. That's my third favorite. If I had to list them, I love where they went with Betty and Aftertaste a little bit more, just because.
A little more melodic, got
Yeah,
some more
for sure,
tunes to
and
them. Yeah.
absolutely, and I feel like Meantime, like just like Hum, they were trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
and it's like you listen to Meantime, and then you listen to, like, one of the newer ones like Size Matters, and you're like, okay, this
What
band has
happened?
gone around the earth, right? But no, it's definitely Aftertaste for me. That's my favorite Helmet record, and probably one of my favorite records in general.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I love the way that record sounds.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
great.
Very
It's
that's
fantastic.
very interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got some hot takes.
But I like that. But I no, but
Yeah.
I like that. You know? So, and this was okay. So speaking of that sound, with Bleed. So can you tell
Mhm.
me what the name, sort of the genesis of your band? Like, I know,
Yeah.
I think I saw that a little bit of, you got some members from Garden of Mary and Narrowhead, like you said, right?
Yes, correct. So Carson, our drummer, he plays in Narrowhead. He drums in Narrowhead. And it's me, Adam Ackerman, and then Noah Boyce. Adam and Noah are kind of my two right and left hands. We pretty much do everything musically together. We started Garden Mary together, and then we're in a couple other metal and hardcore, death metal, metalcore bands. If I'm playing music, it's gonna be with them.
Yeah.
And Bleed, so Bleed was always kind of in the back of my mind. So like I mentioned earlier, me and Jacob Duarte started Narrowhead in 2013.
Oh wow.
And so when we started that band, we were trying to figure it out too. I knew where I wanted it to go somewhat, so did he, and we kind of meshed really, really well. We wrote a couple records, and then life happened to me. My now wife got pregnant with our first son, and so it was time to kind of do business,
Yeah.
and kind of take life a little bit more seriously. So naturally, I ended up leaving Narrowhead and kind of focused on my family for a while. But it was still always kind of in the back of my head. I was like, I still have, riffs to write, and I still want to, I still want to do a sound like this. But I wanted to do it, my way. And that was honestly the cool part about being in a band with Jacob. Me and Jacob are still great friends. I actually they did a tour with Quicksand, Narrowhead did, and I actually got to go out with them and play guitar with them. So that was cool to play all those old songs that we wrote together.
That's rad.
Yeah, it was sick. And but no, like I said, the Bleed sound was kind of always in the back of my head after Narrowhead, and so I kept pushing it off. And we developed some other projects. Garden of Mary started, some other hardcore metal bands, and then finally I was like, okay, I've kind of got enough to write an EP, so let's kind of put the pen to the paper and kind of see what happens. And then it ended up working out really well. Originally, we didn't really have a drummer. We were just kind of writing. Noah and Adam both play drums, so they were kind of my writing partners with it, right?
Oh, nice.
And then finally, we kind of showed some tracks to our friends, Carson being one of them, and Carson was like, dude, I would love to play drums in this. And I was like, come on, let's do it. And Carson's the best drummer I know, hands down. Having him in the band is just a treat. So yeah, like I said, it's just kind of was a natural progression. Some things needed to happen in my life to kind of pave the way for me to be able to do this at a later time. So I've loved the way that it kind of panned out, because I got to accomplish some other bands first, and now give Bleed the attention that I want to give it.
So that's all that always kind of stuck with you, that particular style to form, because the other ones were. So then with Narrowhead and Garden of Mary, were those just kind of like that same thing where you're like, I want to try this style and just see what comes up or just fiddle with that and record, and then this other style? Because I mean, Garden of Mary is kind of like what, almost like an '80s alternative rock band, sort of.
Post-punk,
Which is really
absolutely.
cool.
That's exactly it. Narrowhead started, and I was like, I mean, if you're probably the same way, if you've been in more than one band at any time, that when you look back on your catalog, you're like, okay, I was really into this at this time, right?
Yeah,
and then I was really into that at this time. So same thing with Narrowhead and Garden of Mary. Really, Narrowhead, we started because I wanted to start a band that kind of sounded like Hum and Deftones, and a little bit of Helmet and Handsome, stuff like that. But I wanted it to be kind of atmospheric and kind of spacey,
Yeah.
So that's how Narrowhead started. I ended up leaving Narrowhead, and then Adam and Noah approached me. They're like, hey, we're kind of getting into like post-punk and like, 80s kind of rock and 80s alternative and stuff like that, goth, and we want to start a band like this for fun, right? And I was like, yeah, let's do it, and I kind of got into that, and we did Garden of Mary stuff, and so took some time off from that. And so yeah, absolutely, just like you said, it just kind of kind of write something and record it. This is just how me, Adam, and Noah work.
Yeah.
Is we put some effort into something, write it, record it, and just let it fly. And we've trained ourselves to lose the expectations, because when you have expectations for things, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And for disappointment. And we made the decision, kind of unofficially, 5-6 years ago, that we're just going to write music that we want to write for us and that we would want to listen to, and we're going to do it our way. And then in that regard, we're going to do whatever genre we're doing justice. We hope, we want to do it the right way, but have our own spin on it, because no one likes to see people kind of just butcher things, right? And I don't want to I don't want to ever butcher something. I want to give our influences due credit. I want people to listen to it and be like, okay, I can hear where that's coming from, but then, like you said, we kind of put our own spin on it. So that's kind of our MO. And it's kind of been like that since day one, because we just love playing music. We love playing music like the music that we love. That kind of makes sense. So
I mean, it is. And I think that's where I'm at in my life, where I have this band, so I have the Spacing Effect. So it's that kind of, again, that sort of alternative rock grunge style that Aaron and I, the other guy's name is Aaron, and we grew up on. And so we're kind of, channeling into that. For me, I'm now finally I'm at a spot where I can actually do my emo stuff that I've always been influenced by now.
Sick.
So now I got songs that are kind of like hummish, kind of minerally, sunny day, real estate, and just able to focus on that. And because that's my real passion. Because for you, like Bleed, that's what it is for me right now. It's like this, whatever project I'm going to call this, whatever solo thing I'm going to call this. But it's such a fun thing to finally have other people that have that same kind of mentality and taste as you, and go, yeah, dude, let's go in this all the way. If we're going to do this, let's do it. And we know we can do it because we're talented enough. We have the right recipes. Yeah. We can nail this if we just focus and sit down and
exactly. That's it. I mean, you hit the nail on the head when, you just got to go as hard as you can, and just swing for the fence, like I said, and just go 100 miles an hour, because why do it any other way? Yeah. Like you said, and you gotta have some confidence too. You gotta have some confidence in yourself, saying that oh, sorry, I lost you.
You're fine.
saying that I can do this. Like I know what I want to write. I want to know what I want it to sound like. That's actually funny you say that, because so the Bleed EP took a year to come out, because we I don't think a lot of people know this, but we re-recorded the Bleed EP 3 times.
Really?
All 4 songs. Yeah.
Why?
Because it wasn't right.
No, just the sound, and
every time it wasn't right. So we went in the first time. So Noah recorded the drums for the most part, and Adam, I think, filled in a little bit. And we got through the recording process, and we were mixing, and it just wasn't clicking. It wasn't what we wanted to sound like, right?
Oh, okay.
So we're like, okay, screw it. Let's just restart. We'll keep the drums, but I'll just re-record all the guitars at home. So I was trying to do that, trying to make it work. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
And trying to make things happen and sound the way that it needed to sound.
Yeah.
Ended up back at square one. So we're like, okay, that's when Carson kind of came into the picture, and Carson was like, all right, so we got to start over. So we just started from scratch. We recorded with our dear friend Rubio, who we record pretty much all of our music with. We recorded at their studio. Carson came in on drums and pretty much had it recorded, mixed, like in a smaller time frame then, you know, obviously we did the first 2 recordings with, and it was just like everything was starting to click and everything was starting to fire correctly. And then it just, that's what you hear now. And it's just a testament to, like you said, it's like we know what we want it to sound like. And if it's anything less, that's kind of how we operate, me, Noah, and Adam, at least, that we aren't going to put it out if it sounds less than what we want.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I'm the one that's going to be listening to it. You know, I don't, other people may or may not, but I want to listen to it and know that this is what I want it to sound like, and this is what it needs to sound like. So yeah, I mean, to
You
your,
don't cringe? You don't cringe at anything like when you listen to any of your stuff?
uh, I do. On the Bleed stuff, not really. The Bleed stuff came out in my opinion pretty well. I'm a big fan of the production. Rubio did an outstanding job at mixing. Could be pretty much because they sat there and let us just berate them with notes and, you know, and stuff like that. And they were a trooper the whole time.
Nice.
And they honestly deserve as much credit as we do, because without them, it wouldn't have happened. So the cringe thing, yeah. I mean, I go back and listen to like old demos and stuff like that, and you're like, "What are you doing?" You know?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's funny doing it even with just like demos, you know, because you kind of just throw a loop on or something like that for drums or anything like that to kind of get this riff, and you do like a riff, and you and you go, oh crap, I don't want to send that to so and so, and you're like, that's just, but then like then you get like another idea, and you're like, well, hold on, I won't send it yet. Then you kind of add like some more vocals, or you add some more guitars, and then you kind of go, all right,
Yeah.
it's somewhere, but then you go, but there's still like this, you're just
That's
uncomfortable
funny.
with it.
Yeah, because if you were to go look at like my text messages and you'd see like my demos from Pro Tools, you'd see I would send one and then I would send another one 20 minutes later, say no, this one
Yeah, this
you know,
mix,
like an hour
number
later,
2,
yeah.
number 3.
yeah, number 3, 4, yeah. That's funny you say that.
Aaron and I do that all the time. He goes, it's me doing the whole, no, this one, no, not that one with the guitar thing right there. It's this one, or or number 12 or number 13.
Exactly.
And he goes,
That's
Scott, just do the date, and then he's always very professional.
Yeah, good. You need someone like that.
Exactly.
Balance you out.
We do. We balance each other out. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So when Carson, do you think it was something with like maybe the energy he brought with the recording that he did, or the drums that he was doing, and it kind of just, that was it, and just kind of sparked with you guys?
Definitely, because Noah and Adam are both outstanding drummers. Noah drums in one of our other bands, Written in Blood. Adam drums in Garden of Mary. They're both outstanding drummers. Carson has this Aaron Gillespie thing about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you just watch him, and you just watch him throughout songs, and you're just like, holy shit. Truly, because I mean, he's got it, you know.
Yeah.
He's freaking got it. So plus Carson and I played in Narrowhead together, so Carson knew the vision, really. I mean, so did Adam and Noah, but Carson, he's the drummer, you know, and he knew where to kind of take the songs. Adam and Noah pretty much wrote the drums, but Carson came in, recorded the drums, and did his drums, you know, while maintaining the integrity of the songs. Nice. And I think Carson just being in the band gives that, he's kind of the glue, you know. I mean, you probably know the feeling of when you're playing with someone who's just on every time. You know, it's something special, really. And I owe a lot of that to Carson, because he came in, gave us 110%, and made it what it is.
Yeah, it's always such a comfort to that. You know, there's always a comfort to that, because you know it's very reliable, and it's
you
so
can
nice
completely fall
that.
apart, but the drums will be the drums will be on par for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
yeah.
I get that. Yeah, definitely comfortable. He plays live. I obviously play guitar and sing. Noah plays guitar and Adam plays bass, which is honestly also a testament to them too, because so neither of them are naturally a guitar or bass player. Adam learned bass for this band. Noah plays guitar in a couple other kind of bands that aren't necessarily active, but he's also a lefty. So finding a lefty guitar for this band was a chore. But yeah, they both essentially picked up their instruments for this band, which is sick. And they've made leaps and bounds since, you know, a year ago when they first picked them up. And I
Nice.
feel extremely comfortable with them. And they've settled in nicely for sure. I'm it's badass to watch because you can see the effort that they put into it, the ownership
Yeah.
of learning the instrument. And because like I said earlier, we only do things in our eyes the right way, and we aren't going to do it if it's not going to be right. So
Yeah. Yeah.
they've both taken that on, and they put a lot of time in, you know, off the field, for lack of a better term. You know,
Yeah.
they're badass, they're
But
cool.
I think that's cool that they did that because not only does that their willingness of taking on something, that, he wasn't used to playing the bass. So learning the bass, and I mean, it's for the most part, it's pretty simple as far as like, you know, the majority of it, it's pretty much
Yeah,
follow. But then like you realize how much goes into bass playing. You start noticing bass more, like when you hear the songs,
yeah,
your own songs, but listening to other stuff and you notice the bass and you go, oh, well, I'm going to try and see
yeah,
if I can figure that out. And it
yeah.
really hones in on your creativity too, and respect for that instrument as well. So I think that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. Adam especially. Like I said, Noah had some previous guitar experience, but Adam has like become obsessed with like playing bass. Like
That's awesome.
he'll freaking text me and be like, dude, I've been playing bass for like 3 hours or something like that. It's like, and I talked to his roommates, and they're like, yeah, he's always fucking in there, you know, with his bass, fucking, you know, and just not even plugged into anything, just playing the bass, you
Yes.
know,
Yep.
acoustic, you know. And it's, yeah, he's a bass addict. Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun
It's
and
cool.
annoying. That's what Jonathan, my old bass player for my band called Solace, he would, yeah, every time he would just like, he would still just play with, play it unplugged, kind of like appreciative, but at the same time, it's really annoying when you're trying to write a song.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah,
No, but it's cool.
Adam's that guy, but it's, I
That's
welcome it
great.
because he's taken it on full stride. So it's
How
cool.
much has gigging been like a huge like boost for you guys?
Yeah, so we've played 2 shows to date. We played our second show yesterday in Dallas, with Modern Color, Trauma Ray, and his band Washout, that's from here.
Modern Colors,
Uh,
great.
dude, Modern Color's badass.
Yeah.
They're good on record, and I saw them live, and it was even better. Seriously. And so, no, playing shows with Bleed has been badass. It's been fun. Both the shows we played, the first one was in Austin. We played a free show with that band Unsane.
Oh yeah.
And then On Being an Angel is another band from kind of like a rock emo-y band from Austin. Um, and it was sick. It was our first show ever. I wish it could have been in Dallas, but it was in Austin. It was sick. We're playing the set, and people knew the words, and it's just,
That's so
you
cool.
probably know. Yeah, I mean, you probably know that there's no better reward than the fact that people are singing along. So to watch that, and then same thing yesterday, to watch people really enjoy it for what it is, and know that they had listened to it prior. You know, they aren't just there to watch live music. You know, they're actually fans. It's special, and it makes it all worth it. You know, it makes all the freaking recording time and
Yeah.
time spent agonizing over, you know, does this sound right or wrong? You know,
Yeah.
it's so worth it. And yeah, playing shows has been a big boost for sure, and it makes us want to go just even harder. So
That's
it's been
so
awesome.
great. Dude,
The weather here is bipolar, but the music scene's awesome. We're actually really lucky. I was talking to Hunter, my friend who plays in that band Washout, like I said earlier, and we were like, dude, we have like a alternative rock scene here now, which is kind of different because So like when Arrowhead started, we were kind of like the only band that kind of did that
Oh,
in
really?
pretty much in Texas. Now there's bands like Bleed, Washout, Trauma Ray, Days, Kraus, On Being an Angel. So like between, you know, Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio, there's these bands that are just killing it, absolutely killing it, and like doing it right, you know.
Yeah.
And they're doing the genres justice, and they're like I said, man, just killing it, and it makes me happy to be in a state like that, because I know that there's people that get it and understand kind of what it is. There's no egos, and I mean, people with egos get they get spotted quickly, right? And it's just not cool, man. Like we're all, I mean, I hate to sound like, you know, that, you know, that it's not, you know, it's not cool, man, you know, lose your ego, but like for real, I mean, fuck your ego, you know. I mean, no one cares. No one cares that you did this, you know, 3 years ago or 4 years, you know, whatever. You're in this band, like no one cares. We're all adults, right? We're all human. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and it's sick because like I don't want anyone to listen to Bleed just because like I was in Arrowhead or Carson is in Arrowhead or you know, we're in Garden Mary or anything like that. That's cool if they find us that way, but I want people to like the band because they like the music. No other reason, you know. That actually happened at the show yesterday. My wife was there, and she saw a friend from high school, and her friend from high school was a big fan of Arrowhead, and then like we started playing, and he clicked, I guess, put two and two together, and was like, holy shit, I had no idea. And that's cool to me, because then it's so honest and pure, you know what I mean? They're there for the music, you know, and that's what it's all about, I think.
For you being the singer and guitarist, you obviously, for writing lyrics and stuff, are you just kind of like the kind of guy that you just have an idea and you kind of go with it, or did you always start like with poetry first, or you got kind of a poet guy, and then, or you just always kind of have like lyrics in your head and just kind of write random stuff all day long, and then finally just kind of compile them together when you write a song or something?
Honestly, my kind of process, it might be unorthodox, however, but I come up with the melody first, because I think the melody's gotta deliver just as much as the music does and the lyrics. So I'll kind of hum the melody that I kind of want to do, and then I'll kind of fit in like practice words, rough draft words that I want it to kind of sound like, and then I'll kind of craft lyrics around that. I'm definitely not a poetry guy, unfortunately, and I'm not a guy either that, you know, is writing stuff down every day that's on my mind. I kind of, when I come to write lyrics, it's honestly the last ingredient for me. But I'm lucky
Kurt Cobain did.
Yeah,
I think he did kind of the same thing where he just kind of the last minute thing. I'll just throw this together. It doesn't make sense.
Perfect. That's good. Yeah, they're kind of the last thing for me. They're kind of the last layer, because I know what I want the melody to sound like. I know what kind of vowels I want, stuff like that, and then the lyrics come in. I'm lucky that Adam and Noah can kind of help me along the way and kind of craft me. And I ask them straight up. We're all very honest with each other, and I'm like, does this suck or is it good? And they're like, this is good, this sucks, this is good, fix this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's the way it's got to go, because I can't do it by myself, you know. I can't. You ever try sending demos to yourself? You know, you sit there and criticize them all day long. You're like, this sucks, I'm just, you know, gonna scrap it. But no, I'm lucky that they kind of help me along the way.
Do you ever get now with that said, do you ever do a demo and you're kind of stuck on the demo when you start try to record it and you kind of get Aaron calls it demoitis where you're kind of
Married to the
yes.
demo.
Yes,
Dude,
exactly.
dude, that's funny. It's funny you say that. Adam is that guy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he is that guy. And I remember specifically when we were re-recording for the third time, Carson was doing something on the drums, and me and Noah were like, that it's sick, it's perfect. And Adam was like, I don't know about it. And I'm like, you are too married to the demo, because it was different than how we recorded it on the voice memo.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm not like that. I am to a certain extent, but if something works better, then
Yes.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Adam has a hard time becoming divorced from the demo, for lack of a better term, because he's so married to it coming into the studio. Because, like you, I'm sure we record everything on a voice memo and then bring it into the studio, and kind of maybe do some demos at home. But yeah, he comes in so married to the demo, and I'm like, man,
Snap out of it.
I know. Listen to what's coming through the speakers. It's good. I promise you.
Yeah.
But I totally get it, because you listen to it over and over and over,
Yeah.
and you have it in your head how it's supposed to sound, and then you get to the studio, it sounds different. It might be better, it might be worse, but you just got to have an open mind.
Yeah, and
It's
I'm
hard.
with Adam. I'm with Adam on this one because there's some things, and Aaron goes, no, 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 no. Let's. I'm like, okay, you're right, you're right, you're right. But no, like you said, I'm open. I get open with it, and I go, okay, let's mess around with it then. If we're gonna, be open about it,
Yeah,
let's try something else then, or
that's good. Yeah,
incorporate a little bit.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, do you actually have a studio at your house?
So I have Pro Tools, and I have an interface and stuff like that. Kind of very very stripped down studio.
Yeah.
Where I primarily use it to demo vocals. So like I'll bring in our voice memos, and I'll shoot them into Pro Tools, and then I'll record some vocals over it,
Gotcha.
to kind of get feedback from them, really, and then just kind of mull them over, in the car or whatever, and listen to them and see if they actually work and stuff like that. Pretty much, I mean, if we're going to record anything full band, then yeah, we're gonna go to Rubio, their studio.
Are you guys recording any new things now?
We're in the process of writing an LP, for $20 spin that'll come out next year. We're gonna shoot for 10 songs. Um, would love to see 12 songs. Definitely no less than 10 though.
Is is doing the LP sort of a lifelong thing of with this particular style, I want a full length album. I want to say I had a full length. Or is it something where you just have so much material, you're like, well, let's just give it all. Let's all hand it all out.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, because I am unfortunately of the mindset that, like, we have to do an LP. Not we have to do an LP because we have so much. We have to do an LP because that's what is the proper thing to do.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have overflowing material. And honestly, I think because of just the stage I'm at in my life. I have a full-time career. I have 2 children. I'm married. So unfortunately, I can't sit around and play guitar all day,
Yeah.
and within a week's time come up with 14 songs ready to go. I used to be that way, when I was 22, 23, but I'm almost 30 now. So it's kind of the lack of time, I think, has kind of worked against that.
Yeah.
But I know that these bands have to, especially Bleed, we have to do an LP. We did an EP, and then, like you said, you get to that point where you're like, okay, we have to do this because it's what has to happen. We got to do a proper,
Yeah.
full length record. So I wish I had overflowing material. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but to what you said with recording an LP, it's freaking grueling, man.
Yeah.
Garden Mary recorded we have an LP completely recorded that we did over the course of like the last, like, 2 years before Bleed. And it's grueling. Writing and recording for an LP is just a nightmare. It truly is. And maybe that's like, and the antithesis of a musician, but
It probably is, yeah.
dude, dude, it sucks. It's like people ask me all the time, 'cause tattoos. They're like, oh man, I guess you like getting tattoos. Like, no, I hate getting tattooed. It hurts. It sucks. I don't want to be there. Same thing with recording an LP and writing an LP. It's the best time you never want to have again. It's just because like I said, it's just we want to do it right, and we want to do it so purely that it just takes the freaking life out of us at the end of it. We just feel deflated,
Absolutely.
And then you're just like, okay, just let it ride, So unfortunately, I'm not overflowing with material, but I do think that bands, to be taken somewhat seriously, they got to do a full length. People want to hear a full length record. We were talking about the fact that I think in 2022, technology has advanced so much and has consumed so much of our lives that our attention span has freaking plummeted. Flashback to like when bands did full length records, right? You take yourself back to You'd Prefer an Astronaut, or Around the Fur, or Betty, or like this records that we talked about.
Yeah.
Those bands, like when they put that out, that's them. Like that's their full. Yeah. You're getting the full representation.
Exactly.
From start to finish. It's. I mean, I hate to say it because it's corny sounding, but it's truly like a journey. Like it's a roller coaster of what they want you to see and hear.
Exactly.
Man, it's hard to find that way now. I feel like bands, not throwing shade at anyone, but I feel like bands are putting out LPs that they're saying, how much can we cram into this to say that we did, or to go as fast and hard as possible for 10 songs and make them 2.5 minutes long, because people's attention spans are just terrible. So I feel like not back in the day, a decade ago, people put out LPs because they wanted to, not because they felt like they had to. They wanted to do an LP because they had the material and they wanted to show you the intimate side of their band. Because there's something about an LP that's very intimate.
Exactly.
It's not just a single. It's like, yeah, we got this song, let's go record it and put it out. Singles are badass. I love singles because usually singles are some of the best songs, right?
Yeah.
But LPs are, like I said, are pretty intimate because they take you into like their darkest place, I think, and really shows you what the band is made of.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, and I wish more people. I hope that latches back on again. I really hope that does gain momentum again, honestly.
Yeah. I think so. I think it will. I think the fact out, however long vinyl will be out, for the foreseeable future, however long it'll be accessible, you'll see LPs because people want to do a 12-inch. True. 7 inches are cool. Flexies are cool, but people want to say that they did a 12-inch LP.
Yeah. I just vinyls. I'm surprised it's so popular nowadays, but at the same time, there is something, again, nostalgic about it, but there's also that quality to it that you can just, I don't know. There's something I don't know. I hate to sound corny too, but there's something beautiful about it. Because again, I think maybe it's a nostalgic thing. Because when my mom used to play records too, it was just, I don't know, it's just a good time of my life, I think. So it is very nostalgic and warming to me. So now that I have my own music, and I have like Jeremy Nick, Return of the Frog Queen on vinyl, and Sunny Day, and Mountain Time, whatever, and I can play those on Saturday mornings. It's now my kids can hear it, and maybe they'll have that later on when they get older. Of like, yeah, I remember when my dad played, records on a record player. So.
That's cool. I grew up. That's funny you say that. I grew up with CDs. So in my mind, CD was was the premium. You know, that was the top of the line sound.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I go back and listen to vinyl. I'm like, wait, this is really good.
Yeah.
You can hear everything on vinyl, you know,
Yeah.
and like you can watch it turn. And but I loved, you know, the part of physical releases. I loved reading, you know, the
The
inserts and
notes,
stuff like
yes.
that.
Always the
The
best.
best part.
It
It's the
always
best
was.
part about listening to that record is that you can listen to the record and read the insert. You know,
Yeah.
it's cool. Read the lyrics, go along with it, see kind of some cool pictures of the band probably. And then I liked a lot of metalcore bands did this in like the early 2000s. They'd be like, so we use these guitars, we use
Yeah, that's
these
right.
amps.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, you
right.
remember when bands did that?
Yeah.
And I would always look at that and be like, okay, I need to get that guitar, I need to get that amp, you know. So that was cool. You know, you kind of got to see a kind of behind the scenes look at bands when they did that. It's cool.
It sounds silly, but I always loved looking at the thanks when the guys would say
Yeah,
thanks, who they would say thank you to. And
yeah,
I
that's
always
another.
thought one day I either want to be on one of those, someone thanking me, or
Yeah,
I want to be the one saying thank you to my family,
yeah, yeah,
So
dude, absolutely. Yeah, those thank yous are personal, you know, because I mean, it's a big part of the record. Those are people that made the record happen, really, you
yeah,
know.
the people that
I
also
think
took the time, like our spouses, just supporting us and then trying to encourage us and
holding it
having
down.
us give the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
like
I'm
now.
I'm very blessed that Maddie, my wife, lets me still venture down this road. You know,
Yeah,
she's pretty awesome. She definitely holds it down at home so that I'm able to do this.
that's
So it's
awesome.
cool.
No, that's a
Just like
really
just like you, I can see, you know, your wife letting you.
yeah. She's we've been best friends for almost 30 years and been married for 20. So
Holy moly,
yeah,
that's awesome.
she's awesome, man. We've been through the roller coaster of it all, and
Yeah,
we stick with each other. So yeah,
that's good. It's
it's great.
important. So important.
She's going like this. That's the
As
best when
long
you
as
give
she's up
each other
here,
crap. What?
as long as she's up here more than she's down here,
Oh yeah,
right?
well that yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
No, that's great, man. That's great that she does that for you guys. And
yeah.
well, real quick, how old's your first son?
So Landon is 5 years old, and then Charlie is our younger one. He just turned one.
I love that, Charlie.
Yeah.
Man, that's great. Now,
How
have
old are
you?
your kids?
Uh, one is just turned 12, and the other one's 15, and
Wow.
he has he has autism. So
Okay.
that's a challenge in itself. And so you got a teenager, a teenager autistic kid going through puberty, and it's not a good combo. But you know what? It's funny. But no matter what, though, he, as hard as it's been, he has such an interesting perspective on things. So it's very cool. It really adjusts sometimes when you're not looking at things a certain way, or his reactions a certain way, or he's not interacting a certain way. But he says something and it catches you off guard, and you go, "Holy crap! I didn't think about that." And it kind of
Yeah.
takes you a minute, and you go, "Okay, I need to
Yeah. Think
adjust
about this.
these."
Yeah. That's
No, but
awesome.
it's
I
cool.
mean, they're thinking that way for a reason, and it's probably, you know, he's helping you probably just as much as you help him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, just through life and everything. I've got a couple friends from work that their kids have autism, and really magnificent people. You
Yeah.
know, they're,
Yeah.
they're just incredible, and I'm sure that there's tons of hard times. I couldn't imagine from some of the stories I've heard. But as long as they're coupled with you know, some good stories too, then it all evens out.
It does. It does. And I know we do our little motions and our things,
No, I
but
get
yeah,
it.
for the most part, it's been really cool. The good stuff has always outweighed the bad. So,
Always, it
but yeah.
always does.
And again, it takes the right mentality. You can't. It has to be a very selfless mentality to deal with someone that has autism. And it's a beautiful thing too is when you go online and you see some of these kids and her older adults now and stuff, and they're making something with their lives, like these amazing we saw one recently. My wife has TikTok. I do not do TikTok. But, but it was this kid who has autism, and when he does this, he has these model cars and stuff, and he'll set up like a table, and he'll go to a certain location where like there's like a diner, right? And he'll set it outside the diner, back away. He'll set these cars up, and he'll take pictures, and it looks like an old school diner setup,
Really?
like with professional picture. And he set
Wow.
all these settings. I would have to show you sometime, like send it to you, but it's
That's,
amazing. He did this, and this other kid too, who's an adult now, and people just give him random animals to draw, these mixtures of animals, and he just draws them right immediately. And they're
wow.
silly and fun, but he's making it for himself, you know. And it's so beautiful to see that
Yeah.
even though wires aren't connected like they are for us, they're still connected that makes sense for other people. That's
Yeah. They're just connected in a different way. That's it.
and
You
it's
know, yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. I mean, they like you said, they look at things with a completely different perspective, and that's what makes sense to them. And I think that's what makes life so worthwhile and interesting, is that there's people like that in this world that
give it some flavor.
yeah, and they aren't the negative part of this world. You know what I mean?
I
Because I
agree.
mean, you and I maybe on the surface we think with a clearer head sometimes, but that can be pretty detrimental. You know, uh, we can look at things pretty negatively, and they're like, "What are you talking about? We got this is awesome." You know,
Yeah, yeah.
and so thank goodness for people like that.
At 5, I think you're at a good age where I think, I mean, if he hasn't done it already, the slight testing of talking back.
Oh, you should have been at dinner with us before before this. It's not so much talking back. It's the I'm gonna push the envelope so that I get yelled at, and then when I get yelled at, I cower, and then I'm instantly the bad guy. You know what I mean? So yeah, a little bit of manipulation going on, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
okay. It's all right. Two can play that game.
Yeah, yeah, right. Well, man, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your night and dude and talking with me. It's been a real pleasure. I don't know what to expect, and that's what's fun about this too, is I have no idea what to expect from a band or a person,
Yeah,
and I love being pleasantly surprised. So yeah, thank you
good.
for being that. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
it's fun. I feel like you and I probably, if we were in the same city, we'd be good friends. So
Oh
it
yeah,
it
we'd probably be jamming.
would be, yeah, prob- yeah. It sounds like we were cut from the same cloth. So it's cool to meet someone like that. A lot of people coin bleed as new metal, and that's cool. I love a lot of new metal bands, um, and to them, it's probably new metal. But yeah, we aren't like Slipknot. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
no, no.
people think that like new metal is like Slipknot, which I get, but like so like the term new metal is kind of interesting to see what people think what new metal is. Like new metal to me was like Corn. You know,
Oh, no, but that would
yeah,
be considered, yeah, that would. I
yeah,
wouldn't think
new metal,
Slipknot would
yeah.
be metal, but
But then there's like this whole other like face of new metal bands like Nothing Face and Ultra Spank that were like from the late 90s and early 2000s that were like much more melodic but still had like that whole
oh,
new metal
really?
on. Yeah,
Okay, I don't
yeah,
think I've heard those.
yeah. So that it's just like a different flavor of new metal. So that's funny you say that.
And you're just like, I don't
Yeah,
know what to say anymore because there's pop punk and then pop punk and then hard punk and then new metal,
yeah.
metal math or math metal, and and then
Jen.
death metal, and it's so
Yeah,
confusing. So like
yeah,
for
sure.
me, like I talked with the guy named CJ off of a from a band called Sellouts. If you haven't seen listen to Sellouts, they're really good. So to me, they're like a modern new metal to me, and they pull it off really well. They know exactly what they're doing, and they've nailed that style.
Good.
To me, I wouldn't necessarily call you guys new metal though. I would call you like
Yeah,
yeah, like an alt hard rock or alt. I don't know. Like that's what's hard. I don't know what to, but that's okay. I don't need to
yeah,
label
that's
you.
cool. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, and then like everyone's label is what they think it is, and that's cool that there's so many different kind of labels that are kind of thrown around, because that means that you're doing something kind of different,
Yeah. Well, your band is awesome, and I really dig the sound, and I really, really hope a single comes sooner than later.
I hope so
Dig
too.
it.
I think we'll probably see, at least in the next maybe 6 months to 8 months, probably single.
Too long.
I
No.
know. Tell me about it. Oh, I know. We have one more Dallas show planned in May with Trauma Ray, this band Money from Oklahoma City. They'll be with us at this place called Double Wide in Dallas. But other than that, we're shooting to hopefully do a tour this summer. If we don't do it this summer, it'll be this fall.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. We definitely want to do something outside of Texas. We've been talking to a couple bands that we might think about going out with, but we'll see. I mean,
California. California.
Yeah.
Something
No, that's what we were talking with Modern Color yesterday. We're like, dude, we want to come out to California really badly. I love touring California. I love touring California way better than the East Coast for obvious reasons, right? I love the East Coast. Don't get me wrong, but the weather's just so much better in California.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. You can't beat it. So
Ryan, again, I can't thank you enough for coming on, dude. I appreciate it.
Man, Scott, it was good talking to you too, man. I appreciate the opportunity, for real.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. And thank your wife for, taking the reins for a little bit there.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I try to praise her every chance I get, because she's got a harder job than I do.
Yeah. All right, brother. You have a good night, then. I'll talk to you later.
All right. You too. See you, Scott. Thanks.